That was the video for Love Lost off of the newest album from Blood Handsome called Rituals, which has been out for a couple weeks now on Cleopatra Records. Blood Handsome is a solo project of musician Gerren, and he joins us from his home in LA. Hello and welcome to New Music Mondays.
Thanks for having me, Davey.
Yeah, for sure. So congratulations on the release of your second full-length album. I think it's really good, and well, just happy that you did it.
I appreciate it. It was it's a little different than my debut, which I think a lot of bands tend to shift gears, and I think I got to do a lot more of what I originally set out to do, and was kind of scared to do at first, and I kind of played it safe with my first record, and then took kind of experimented with a few different things on this one, and I think the risk paid off, because I think it's one of those records that once people listen to it, they seem to get it. But I think it's one of those you have to listen through, from front to back, and kind of to fully understand how it's like a roller coaster kind of, it's all over the place, but it somehow makes sense as a total package.
Yeah,
At least I hope it does.
yeah, definitely. And I really appreciate it when bands do that. I just a couple weeks ago was talking to Vincent Segretario from Wingtips, and they do much the same thing with their albums, really try to package it as a whole piece, a work, as opposed to just a collection of songs.
Yeah, and they're from Tennessee, correct? I think Wingtips
they're
is
from Chicago.
Chicago, the Midwest, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm originally from Kentucky, so I was like, I remembered that they were from that neck of the woods. It's always interesting. Chicago has a bigger scene, but like it's the Midwest and the South is always a tricky place to kind of try to do this kind of music, which is changing now. I mean, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of stuff coming out of areas that you wouldn't expect it. I mean, Texas is popping right now with like amazing bands and goth nights and just things like, I mean, it's a really cool place. It's always cool to listen to people and like Wingtips and stuff that come from places that, I don't know, you get that from their music, you know what I mean? You can sense that there's I don't know, this I tended to be more creative when I lived. LA's kind of made it when the ocean's next to you, and there's all this accessible stuff. It kind of it's at your hands. Like I tend to be more creative when I'm reclusive and bored and conflicted and stuff like that. So like there is a feeling and an emotion. I think that from this album that I released, that I wrote most of it. When I lived back on that side of the states, and it's cool. I like we talked earlier a little bit, like I pull from several different wells of music. It's kind of
a trademark of yours, right?
Diverse. Yeah, like it's definitely unique when you play shows and stuff. You kind of stick out more because I don't know, I've at least, this project's newer. I mean, I started it like it's just kind of a thing that I did at home at my home studio just for fun. Like I've been in bands, I've fronted bands, I've played drums for bands, I've played guitar, but with this, I just wanted to have fun with it, and it turned into kind of just caught momentum through friends and people that were fans of my previous stuff that wanted to hear it and see it live. And I mean, I think it translated okay, but it is always unique to hear people's response when I play, because there is just so much. It's just kind of hard to pinpoint, but somehow it kind of fits all under an umbrella, but it depends on who you're talking to, I guess.
It fits under the Blood Handsome umbrella.
There we go. Yeah, we'll stick with that.
Yeah, so on your album, you definitely, a lot of songs like Give and Lasher and a few others use some pretty distinct like trip hop, drum beats, hip hop breaks, things like that.
Yeah.
But Love Lost, which we just heard, is kind of more of a Manchester-esque kind of upbeat post-punk song. Of course, a lot of people are talking about your cover of Atmosphere. the Joy Division song, obviously.
Mhm.
I'm not going to spoil the other cover that's on for
Yeah, that's a
people because
hidden.
I think that they should check it out for themselves. But I was pretty surprised. I think it's the last song on the album.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that was the
Okay,
last edition that kind of came spur of the moment.
that's just great. So
Yeah,
it's a cover of a not overplayed classic rock song.
yeah, it
A
was.
really tasteful choice of
Thank you.
songs. And it reminds me, I don't know how familiar you are with Daniel Ash's solo work, but he does some pretty tasteful, very spooky takes on a couple of pretty classic songs.
I'll
It
have to check
really
that out.
reminds me of that. Yeah.
Okay,
He
yeah,
does Me and My Shadow and a couple other songs. Very, very cool, like
yeah,
mood gothy versions of those songs. Anyway, it
awesome.
reminds me of those. I'm not going to reveal it because I think that people should find it for themselves. Yeah, so let's talk about. Well, you brought up a couple of things that I kind of want to explore, but I feel like we're getting towards one question in particular that I have around
Mhm.
your influences, and like I feel like that's kind of an automatic go-to in interviews is what are your influences, and that can be kind of boring. With you, I think that's not a boring conversation.
No, yeah, yeah. No, I love to talk
Yeah,
about the
talk to
the
us about.
tornado of um. So
Let's start with some of your like long-term like ride or die
okay,
influences,
okay,
and a couple of maybe more contemporary
okay,
influences as well.
yeah. So I would say some rider, loyal people that have gotten me through some heavy things. Um, One of my probably number one influence, just as a lyricist, as a writer, just as a human in general, is Wes Eisold from Cold Cave. Um, I grew up in Kentucky, like I said originally, and grew up in the punk hardcore scene, kind of, 15 to like 19, 20, and then kind of transitioned into, more post punk and like discovered, a lot of, Joy Division, New Order, just random, the things that you find as you grow. And I kind of transitioned into that stuff, and naturally, um, it's weird because I don't know if you're familiar, but he was in a hardcore band, American Nightmare. They went by Give Up the Ghost for a little bit, but he kind of made that same transition, and I always admired that. And honestly, just I think at that time that kind of gave me the courage to play some things that I had wanted to play but was kind of afraid to play, like I was touching on earlier about being in the Midwest and the South. Like it's just kind of, there's not a big scene for that here, or there, like in LA it's accessible. There's great goth nights, great DJ nights, great, you can just any day of the week. But back there you're just kind of like, it's funny because people, they accept it once you put it out there, but it's kind of like taboo almost there, that people are just like, I don't know, like that's too dancey, that's too poppy, I'm too macho to like that, you know what I mean? But eventually, you outgrow that and it's beautiful. But that's one of the people I admired the most because he did that, made that transition and has been successful, like in both of, in that hardcore scene and, this more dark wave goth, whatever he wants to classify his stuff as. And then obviously, Ian Curtis, trying to think, honestly, I pull from some weirder things though too, because my mom grew up, I was born in 88 and I grew up, my mom was a hairdresser, so a lot of 90s club electronica trance stuff was played in her salon, while I'm sitting there playing with Hot Wheels or something after school, so like I just kind of had just like it's a very weird, that's kind of where more of that, like that saw synthy bass in like Give and Rituals and those songs that you were talking about, Lasher, the more clubby kind of trance kind of sounds. I feel like that's kind of where that stuff comes from. Newer stuff, more current stuff, I'm really really, really into this guy based out of Atlanta named Twins. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but it stands for That Which Is Not Said. But it's like he goes by Twins, but it's like all capital letters, you know, just and trying to think. There's a band in Los Angeles that I don't even know how they're not huge. Freedom Curse. I don't know if you've ever heard of Freedom Curse, but I mean, they literally, when I first moved to LA, I saw them and like became obsessed, and it just blew my mind. You know, when you see those bands and you're like, how are they not, like, how has no one caught on to this yet? And I mean, because they're out there, they hustle, they're playing all the time. I mean, you all should definitely check that out. They're great. It's just two guys from LA here, and I mean, they kill it. It's awesome, and they play any show. That's what I always respect, like that about people. They'll play for 3 people. They'll play for 300 people. Like, it's just about the music. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely know what you mean. I've probably
and
had
that's
more of the less attended shows
those are
personally as a musician.
the best shows. To me,
Yeah,
those are the best shows. Like,
yeah, yeah.
they're more intimate. I feel like people, if there's 9 people there, they must really like what you're doing too. You know what I mean? If they're not going to the bar, they're not, you know,
Yeah,
leaving to go
as an
smoke a
audience
cigarette.
member, it's always really fun too to discover some new band that's blowing your mind, and there's 5 other people there.
Exactly, it's
Yeah.
intimate. One of my actually, back to the influences a little, to go from just how all over the place I am. I mean, obviously, I grew up, like, the age range I'm in at the drive-in was like a huge, like, you know, post-punk revive, like this in high school. Like, I was just like, they are the be all of music. And um they actually got signed. I heard a story, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that they got their record deal playing a show in Texas, and I think there was 9 people there, and one of them happened to be a guy that was at from like Grand Royal or whatever label they ended up signing to. But it was like the same label like the Beastie Boys were on it at one point. So it's just like, I don't know, you never know who's watching either, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, you know, like we were saying, you know, it's their loyal fans. If they're watching, they're loyal music fan. They just love music. They're music lovers. They're something special about catching somebody that's like jaw dropping, and there's only 5 or 6 other people around you, and
Hmm.
you get to be a part of that. And to me, like, I like when I first started this project, those were the best shows. Those tours and those like regional weekend runs. You know, like when I lived in Kentucky, driving up to New York, and like after those shows where there'd be like you just get drink tickets and just didn't really make any money. Like, after those shows, all of those people would follow you, and like a lot of those people still follow me, and they stay in touch. And you know what I mean? They've seen this grow from that to a little better as the years go on, and it's just, that's cool that we have that now, you know, because back
Yeah,
in the day you had to log on to AOL to chat with people, and you know what I mean? Now it's more accessible.
yeah, yeah, right. You know, something that's occurred to me as I'm talking to you and thinking about your music, I'm not sure how intentional it was, but there's a sound that goes back from the South, from the Appalachians and
Mm-hmm.
deeper south than that, that kind of originated as early back as the 30s and 40s, kind of an American Gothic sound. They call it the high lonesome sound. You know, that's
Uh-huh.
a little bit surreal. It's definitely sad.
Mm-hmm.
Non-musical, you know, contributions to that would be like Flannery O'Connor, but like the Carter family, and like, you know, some of the darker kind of country and bluegrass was definitely like that. I hear, you know, distant reverberations of that in your music.
Yeah. No, that's it's funny because, like, I joke with people. I mean, growing up in Kentucky, if you don't like bourbon, basketball, horse racing, or country music, it's like they essentially put you in a basket and take you to the outskirts of town, and they're like, you know, you're banned from here. But that's like the only type of that music that I do enjoy. I feel like there's just a lot of, like you said, it's almost, it's not that it's I'm trying to think of the way to word this. It's not that it's not lacking like musical like structure or talent. It's almost that it's just so like from emotion, like it's something that's just from inside that was in there, and they just are belting this out, and it's just natural, and
Yeah,
they somehow recorded that. And like
yeah.
I
There's
think
a
just that
real
time period, yeah, that time period, especially like you said, like in the Appalachian, like in the mountains and stuff. I mean, you're really secluded. You kind of live in your own world. That's like where a lot of my extended family is. Like, luckily, I'm from Lexington, which is, one of the two bigger cities. It's Louisville's the biggest, but I'm like an hour from there, um, originally, and it's just you can feel that music, and that's kind of, I think, a big thing that I try to do with my music is make it to where it's tough, because like it's easy to just be pigeonholed and just to be like, I'm going to make this certain kind of music. I'm going to make dark wave, or I'm going to make goth, or I'm going to make post punk, or I'm going to make witch house. It's easy to do that and try to be accepted. But like, I think like you and I were talking about, I wanted to take a risk with this. And at 32, I was like, what else do I have to lose? You know what I mean? I've
yeah,
done everything. Like, I just want to make music that is me, and that is like emotional, like that people like, this is just exposed, like this is me. I write most of my songs when I'm going through hard times. That's when I write the best, like, so this year's been great. There's a lot
yeah,
of good hits
right.
of music being
Exactly.
written right now.
Yeah,
But
and you are, don't worry, you are not at risk of being pigeonholed.
yeah, I
Because
appreciate that.
it's
Yeah,
hard to put a finger on your music, which I think is a very positive
I
thing.
appreciate that.
So
Yeah,
you're in the clear.
I
Don't-
appreciate that. That's,
Something you
yeah,
don't need to worry about.
thank you, that's important.
So let's talk about some upcoming events. You had an awesome live stream performance for Vox Sinistra
Yeah, that
a
was
week or
great.
two
That was,
ago, so people can look
yeah,
at that on YouTube. I'll try to
yeah.
include the link for that. What else do you have coming up?
I've got I'm doing the Goths for Sanctuaries event at the end of the month. That's pretty big. There's a bunch of people on that, and
Yeah.
that's, I mean, it's anytime you're helping animals from it's great. So definitely check that out. I think you can just go to my page. I've posted about it recently. Um, and then I've got some stuff. That's it for the live streams for now, and probably gonna ride out. I've got some stuff planned. I don't think I'll announce until probably about November, but there's some stuff coming up in December that's going to be pretty big,
Okay.
that I'm excited about, that is live stream related. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
um, and other than that, just working on new music. I'm working on a new record. Um, I just, and not even a new record necessarily, just stacking a lot of material. Like I said, just writing a bunch. But gearing up for, this, because Rituals, I originally self-released it as 8 tracks in 2019, and then signed with Cleopatra like shortly after. And then that's kind of when the Joy Division stuff came around, and I was able to do some stuff that I wouldn't have been able to do alone. And we put out the deluxe version, and gonna ride that for a while because it's got new songs and like Love Lost and stuff. And the new stuff I'm working on is more in that direction. I do like to, you know, to change it up a little bit album to album, so people have something to like anticipate. But yeah, it's more in that direction. I'm writing with another guy, a couple of people, and myself. I'm writing some songs by myself, and I've got some of my oldest friends. It's cool. I've been able to reconnect with and write some songs with that I used to be in bands with. So
Wow.
it's kind of cool to go back to that and like get that feeling, because we have time that we, things, people that you stopped working with because just growing up in time and stuff. And now with 2020 being the way it's been, we have that time to like reconnect, and it's been cool. It's been
Yeah,
cool. There's definitely going to be a lot of music that comes out of this little.
yeah, yeah. That's positive. So, are they going to be performing on the new album as well? Your friends?
Yeah, no, yeah, they're contributing to. I'm not sure like how many of, like I said, just kind of stacking material. Like we've got tons of stuff written, and then I have tons of stuff written that I've just done alone, and then I have art, like people that have reached out to me that want to collaborate that I'm like trying to get that in with. And there's definitely a lot of stuff. But yeah, there will be some people on the next album that trying to work on and get some features maybe with some other artists as well. I love to do that's like another thing I like to do too as a solo artist. For the most part, I love collaborating with people because there's not that pressure, you know, if it doesn't go beyond this, you know what I mean? It's not like a band. You don't have to feel obligated to this, but we can create a few songs or one song or an EP and, you know, see what happens. It's cool. Because I grew up, like I said, in bands. So like I love playing with other people as well as much as I can. So
Yeah.
it's been cool to do that again.
Cool. Well, this is an incredible solo project. Congratulations again on
Appreciate
the
it.
release of your second record. It's a big accomplishment. Oh, happy belated birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome. You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Gerren Reach, otherwise known as Blood Handsome. Look for the album Rituals on Cleopatra Records. I will provide the links for folks so they can find it real easy. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Davey. I appreciate it.
All right. So this is the video for Atmosphere by Blood Handsome. You're watching New Music
Mondays.
Hi everyone, hope you liked that video. If so, please like and subscribe to receive notifications when we upload more content. New Music Mondays is a live stream show every Monday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. on twitch.tv/DavyBonesOakland. It features myself and a weekly guest DJ spinning new releases in the world of dark music, post-punk, goth, dark wave, as well as interviews with the people that make the music happen. So it's a lot of fun. Make sure to join us live. Again, that's every Monday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., or actually about 9:30 Pacific time. The audio will always be uploaded the next day to my Mixcloud page, mixcloud.com/DavyBonesOakland. And thanks for watching the video on YouTube. The interviews will all be uploaded to the YouTube channel as well as an occasional kind of behind the scenes video as well. All right. Thanks again.